going to challenge each other in practice. And the way we're going to challenge each other to get better in practice, once the game starts, I mean, it's going to be easy.
But we also know you three kings came down here to win championships. Not one, championships.
Not two.
LeBron, tell us about that.
Not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7. Hey.
Does it bother you that so many people are happy to see you fail?
Absolutely not. Because at the end of the day, all the people that was rooting on me to fail, at the end of the day, they got to wake up tomorrow and have the same life that they had before they woke up today. They got the same personal problems that they had today. And I'm going to continue to live the way I want to live and continue to do the things that I want to do with me and my family and be happy with that. So, they can get a few days or a few months or whatever the case may be on being happy about not only myself, but the Miami Heat not accomplishing their goal, but they got to get back to the real world at some point.
Oh boy. Welcome back to my channel, sports fans. Okay, let's get into this one right here. Le cheating James. Le fans. LeBron has tried to cheat the game all of his career, only to have karma come back to him, right? Michael Jordan never cheated the game, and we'll talk about that in a minute. It never happened. Like sports and fitness rants like to say, Michael Jordan stood there or stayed on his team and went through the grind. Hell, you can even say that for a lot of players. But LeBron knew he couldn't stick in there and go through the grind. So let's talk about this. And you see this image up on your screen. Let's look at it. When faced with adversity, as the media and the world counts you out, how do you respond? Well, in 1995 playoffs, Jordan gets ripped, loses the game, and the media says Jordan is past his prime and doesn't have the same abilities of the past. The next season, in 96, sets the NBA record in the regular season, 72-10, and wins MVP, Finals MVP, All-Star MVP, First Team Defense, scoring title, and becomes an NBA champion once again. So, for LeBron James, in 2010, LeBron, as the number 1 seed, loses to the number 4 seed, Boston Celtics, in blowout fashion, as the media says that LeBron will never be one of the greats. What does he do the next season? Well, the next season, 2011, with a super team now, didn't want to go through the grind. LeBron taunts the Mavericks before the finals, melts down, and then gets blown off the floor after he takes a 2-1 lead. Well, folks, that was the beginning of the karma for LeBron James. And he would not learn his lesson. He would spend his entire career building super teams and melting down, getting blown off the floor. And the media was there to make every and any excuse for this guy. Because we know the rise of Clutch Sports that came on the scene in 2012. After he won his first championship, Clutch would start to repair this guy's career and cover it up. Cover up the past and cover up the future for anything that happened going forward from 2012. So I want to talk about this because I hear this a lot, and I've heard this so many times when I got to hear this foolishness, right? That they don't hold it against LeBron in 2007 when he lost to the Spurs because he was young. Huh? Well, let's look at this. For Michael Jordan, when he played the Celtics in 86, 87, in both years, they had a big five. And out of that big five, it was 4 top 75 players and 1 Hall of Fame player. He moves on. 88 and 89. Now he plays the big four. And it was two top 75 players and 2 Hall of Fame players on those Detroit teams. In 1990, now it's a big 3. 2 top 75 players and 1 Hall of Fame player. Meanwhile, in 87 draft, who does Michael Jordan get? He gets Scottie Pippen. Undernourished, underskilled, sits on the bench for a whole year. And then when the playoffs start in 88, the team was so awful, they had to let Pippen start. And he scored 10 points per game in the first round against the Cavs. You guys say that got Michael Jordan over the hump. Michael Jordan averaged like 40-something points per game in that series. And the second round against the Pistons, Pippen averaged 9 points per game. So when we talk about being young, we don't hold that against Michael Jordan when he was losing when he was young. In 86, in 87, and we probably can move forward and say 88, 89, in 90. Why? Because he didn't melt down. He was putting up 60 in a game. He was putting up 50 in a game, 55 in a game, 45 in a game, averaging 43 points in a series, 40 points in a series, 35 points in a series, and so on and so on. That's why we didn't hold it against him. For LeBron James, he was young, and what? He melted down. So what do you mean you don't hold that against him? You only don't hold that against him if he comes out there and does his thing and put up the same stats that he was putting up in the playoffs, in the regular season, and don't melt down. Don't let role players win the finals MVP. Don't let role players outscore him. Shooting under 40%, 35% for the series? Yikes. 60-something from the line? 20-something from 3? 5 turnovers a game? What do you mean you ain't going to hold it against him? We don't hold it against Michael Jordan because that's how he made his name. Because you needed 5 Hall of Famers to beat him. You needed 4 Hall of Famers to beat him. You needed 3 Hall of Famers to beat him while he had nobody. Okay? So these lies about LeBron James, they have to stop. By the time he went to the finals, he made that team. He went and got Larry Hughes. He went and got Drew Gooden. He went and got Eric Snow. He went and got a slew of guys. I don't remember anybody original from that team when he first came into the league. He was getting all these free agents from other teams. Michael Jordan wasn't. He was trying to build through the draft. And on top of that, if we want to be straight up about it, everybody else in the East at the time in the 80s was getting all these free agents from the Pistons, from the Celtics, the Sixers. And Michael Jordan wasn't getting nothing. So that's how Michael Jordan made his name. He didn't make his name off of dunking. He made his name off of not melting down in the big games. That's where you make your name in the playoffs. And you make your name as an all-time great in the NBA Finals. I mean, we don't have to sit here and go over this. We know this, right? Series by series, '08, LeBron melts down against Boston. Shot under 40%. 5 turnovers a game. 60-something percent from the line. 20-something percent from 3. 2009, melts down against Orlando as a number 1 seed. They were a number 3 seed. Walks off the court, doesn't shake hands. We know about 2010. Melts down in games 4, 5, and 6. And if you remember my video, they talk about on First Take LeBron in game 6 waving a white flag with time to go to try to get back in this game and basically telling his teammates to stand down and stop playing. Well, if you see my video, LeBron was scared to face Kobe in the finals. We all know what happened now. But even if you don't believe that, he still melted down. And this has been his entire career of doing things the wrong way and it coming back to haunt him. Not to mention losing in the '04 Olympics, the '06 FIBA. And we'll see what happens this year in the '24 Olympics. Because to me, he did it the wrong way again. He dismantled this 23 FIBA team that didn't even place. Didn't even get a medal. With players like Anthony Edwards, the next Michael Jordan. Huh? Give me a break. Paolo Banchero, Jalen Brunson, Halliburton, and a slew of other gritty guys. And before you guys say that team wouldn't be good enough to be international plumbers, let me remind you once again, on these international teams, what they have is maybe one superstar from the NBA and maybe one role player. Sometimes they only have one role player. Sometimes they only have one NBA superstar. When I say role player, I'm talking about NBA role player. And sometimes they don't have either. They don't have a superstar or an NBA superstar or an NBA role player. So let me continue. If LeBron wanted to boost up his legacy because he was the first one to raise his hand after the 23 FIBA team didn't place, didn't get a medal, he was the first one to raise his hand and say he wants to bring home gold in 24. Well, that's acceptable to me. I commend him. I have no problem with that. But why dismantle the team? Why not get these guys, Paolo Banchero, Halliburton, Brunson, what's this guy's name? Oh, the next Michael Jordan. That's all you would need, right? The next Michael Jordan and LeBron, the second greatest player of all time. Some people say first, right? So to me, Brunson is a superstar. He's getting paid like a superstar. Halliburton is the best point guard in the league right now. To me, if he's not a superstar now, he's going to be a superstar. And I've heard people in my comments say, oh, man, these guys ain't superstars. Well, who's the superstars? Are you talking about old Harden? Are you talking about old LeBron? Are you talking about old Durant? Are you talking about old Curry? What are we talking about? The people I'm talking about are up-and-coming superstars of the league. So you get those guys and you take them under your wing, being that you're supposedly the greatest player of all time, and you have all this Olympic experience, whether good or bad sometimes, and you show these guys the ropes. But what does he do? He does what he always does. Goes and builds a super team and dismantles the old team. And why? Because he's got so many shortcomings. Can't play off the ball. So what does he do? He benches the next Michael Jordan, Anthony Edwards, and slides Curry from point guard position over to shooting guard position. And now the turnover king is the point guard. Huh? Listen, I didn't want to do a whole video on this because the guy, he is annoying because he runs his mouth. Anthony Edwards. But where are you at, bro? You guys are almost losing to Sudan. And who they almost lose? Was that Germany? Whatever that team was, the last team they played. And LeBron is hitting the game winners? Where you at, Anthony Edwards? Why ain't you hitting the game winners? Why aren't you leading the team like you said you was before the Olympics started, right? You said that everybody was going to have to look out for you and be watching you. And my response to that is going to be the same as it was before when you said that. Bro, you are a bench player. You let a 40-year-old turnover machine, 4-6 losing, flopping team, super team building, no leadership dude put you on the bench. So I don't want to hear nothing else about this next Michael Jordan because I told you before, and I will tell you again, if this was ever to happen to a 22, 23-year-old Michael Jordan, this is what would happen. I don't think it would happen, but if it ever did happen, that a 40-year-old loser at the end of his career tried to do this to Michael Jordan, when Michael Jordan is 22, 23, like Anthony Edwards, it would not go good in practice. He will be putting buckets on LeBron's head and shutting him down with his defense. He'll be shutting LeBron down. Where are you at, Anthony Edwards? You're a coward. Don't have any respect for you as a man or as a basketball player anymore. You probably begged LeBron to keep you on that team, right? Yeah, I keep you on there. You got to come off the bench. Oh, goodness. So we already seen what was going to happen when this guy melted down in Miami. And that he was going to keep building super teams all of his career because he's got so many shortcomings. For one, being clutch in the NBA Finals. And it was going to happen in the playoffs if he didn't run and build a super team because we saw that in 2008, 2009, 2010 in the playoffs. And we want to go back to his first meltdown in 2006. He took a 3-2 lead going back home. On who? On Detroit. And they still had Ben Wallace, where he melts down 2 games in a row. Go look at the percentages. It's amazing how you guys say that era was so strong. LeBron's first time in the playoffs took that Detroit team to a game 7 with a bunch of nobodies. Second time in the playoffs, goes to the finals with a bunch of nobodies. Could you imagine? Michael Jordan in the East in his second year in the finals, second time in the playoffs, he's in the finals with no Hall of Fame teammate, no top 75 teammate, and he's in the finals. Whew. Imagine that. Because I just remember in the 80s, especially in the East, to make it to the finals, you had to have 3 to 5 Hall of Famers on one team. And then when you got to the finals, just to win, you had to have 3 to 5 Hall of Famers on one team in the 80s. So this is LeBron's, I don't know what you call it. I don't, is that really the NBA back then? And then back-to-back number 1 seed against this mighty Boston super team who only had the number 1 seed one time in like 7 years and only won the finals one time in like 6-7 years together. This same Boston super team that in 2009 got smoked in the second round by who? Orlando? Huh? This same Boston super team that had the number 1 seed, if I'm not mistaken, I do so much research, but I might be mistaken, but that's what I seen. That same Boston super team in 2008 that won the finals played the number 8 seed, Atlanta. And Atlanta took them to a game 7 in 2008. But LeBron, in that second round, played that same Boston team in 2008 and took them to a game 7. What? Who the hell does Atlanta have on their team back then? They're number 8. Who the hell did LeBron have on his team in 2008 and took that super team, Boston super team, to a game 7, melting down in that series? So we already know his team had to carry him to game 7. If he shot 35%, 5 turnovers per game, 60-something% from the line, 20-something% from 3, how the hell did he get to a game 7? I mean, people really need to talk about this guy's real career in the NBA back then in the 2000s in the East. And what LeBron was getting a taste of is what Kobe went through for years in the East, playing these teams. Remember, Kobe was playing the Spurs all those years in the 90s, the early 2000s. He was playing the Spurs. He was hitting clutch shots against the Spurs. Okay? And when LeBron finally got to the finals in 2007, he got a taste of that. And then when LeBron finally got to the finals again in 2011, he got a taste of what Kobe had been going through in the West again. Kobe facing real competition all of his career. That's why his knife was so sharp. His skills were so sharp. When you face real competition. When you don't face real competition, and then when you do, it's not going to end good. When you don't face real competition, then you don't have to work on your free throws. You don't have to work on your mid-range. You don't have to work on your 3. All you got to do is barrel to the basket and do layups and dunks while controlling the ball, getting all the assists and getting all the layups. And we know what happens then. You dumb down your team every game. And then in big moments against good teams, you want them to come through for you all the time? Tell me what you think.